I am Brad Devilar. I am from the Crohn's Awareness Project, the Gaming for Guts, and I have had Crohn's disease for over 20 years, since I was 16 years old. I've been advocating since I was probably about 18, 19 years old. I think it took about 6 months to a year of the initial realizing something was wrong. One of my core memories of when I was first diagnosed was my doctor being pissed off. It was an old GP that wanted nothing to do with a chronic illness, and honestly that could probably boil down to how I treated the disease for the first decade or so of feeling like a burden. I remember being in the summer, being stuck inside on the couch, going through tests. I had no idea what I was going through, only to realize in the future it would just become the norm. Honestly, it was just a whirlwind of scary emotions and not understanding anything because no one I knew about it. And I remember being started on oral medications, all the good jazz, steroids and all that, and always feeling as if nothing was going to ever work. My treatment journey has been definitely all over the place. After 2 or 3 years of going through the oral path, I remember being in high school and hearing about biologics, but they hadn't reached Canada yet. So I was reaching out to my doctor and basically pleading to be on the list to get a chance when they came. And I believe it was probably a good year and change before it actually reached Canada and I got to go on it. My first biologic lasted me a year and change before my body adapted and it no longer worked. Before moving on, I ended up switching doctors 2 times to then be pushed onto another biologic, which I was on for a decade, though I'd say I should have been switched long before that. It was kind of like just enough, but not really. I thought it was enough at the time. And then, oh my gosh, a few years ago, we finally got off of that after a traumatic downward swing. And I was on to one of the 2 last biologics, which I was only on for 6 months due to bleeding issues, having blood transfusions and all that. And then eventually ended up on my last biologic, which I am on now. And at the time, it was the last choice for me. There's a lot more out now and coming out in the coming years. So good to know that, just in case if this one gives up on me, as has been my history. They don't tend to last. My body likes to adapt, unfortunately. So I have permanent ileostomy and what we lovingly call a Barbie butt. My rectum was completely removed, and I am part of the ostomy family, which when I was younger, honestly terrified me. I wanted nothing to do with it, but it's been probably one of the best things in my medical journey. I'm a year and a few months out of having it, and it's been great. I still have challenges, but nothing like I had gone through over the last 2 decades. And as I like to say on social media, honestly, without it, I don't think I'd be as present as I am for my daughter. It's given me the strength to be a dad. When I was first diagnosed and trying to talk to people about it, no one knew what Crohn's was. No one knew what IBD was. So initially it was just to get it out there, to get knowledge into people's heads that it existed. After, I would say, about a decade of doing that, I found a lot more people knew what the term Crohn's disease was, IBD was, ulcerative colitis, but it was a lot of, oh, that's a washroom disease. So it became a new mission of, okay, we need to talk about all of it. We need to explain that the washroom part is honestly, to me at times, a small portion of what you're going through when dealing with IBD. There's so much more And people need to know more to understand more, because people hate hearing the washroom disease part. And then moving into my last couple years, becoming an ostomate, a lot of it has been breaking stigma. Even today, I went for blood work and the lab tech noticed my shirt says, well, you can't see it, but it says nice butt. It was actually from the ostomy fashion show I did earlier this year. And we got into talking about ostomies and that I had a permanent ostomy, and that her first reaction was, you're too young for that. And that's, a lot of people talk like that. So getting out there, and I'm not a young chap, but getting out there, letting people know that people of all ages can have ostomies, that you don't have to be ashamed of your ostomy, that your ostomy is not the end of the world. It's actually kind of the start of a new journey. It really helps bring things into perspective, being able to move on from the troubles that you're dealing with. And I just like to inform people and let them know that it can be a great thing. So with the Crohn's Awareness Project over a decade ago, I realized in telling my stories through humor that people would comment, send me messages, and be like, oh my, like I go through that, like, oh, I deal with that, oh, I've been through that. And not only did it feel good helping others, but it helped me knowing that others were going through similar things, which really pushed forward a way I've dealt with it in the present future. That community is one of the best things for advocacy. Is if you feel alone and you don't have friends that have IBD, it is really good to get out there, reach out, find a group, find like whatever your social media platform is. If you don't use social media, there's local chapters for your Crohn's awareness organizations. But being able to talk with people that also go through similar, if not the same issues, it can't be understated how useful it is and how it can just make you feel not alone. And I think feeling not alone is a huge part of this. Even if you're going through the dumps, knowing that you are not alone is a massive thing. I like to look at the humorous side of things. I'm always taking notes for my webcomics for Crohn's Awareness Project when something happens, so ways to turn it into a joke. Definitely having humor about what's going on is a huge self-defense mechanism, and it can help when you're going through some of the worst stuff. It's not always going to help, but it's there. And community. It can't be understated how big of a thing that is. Even with myself, when I was getting into the ostomy journey, I reached out to several ostomy groups, and that helped me feel more comfortable about the journey I was about to take, which enforces why I do what I do and trying to make people feel good. And I've been as open as possible about showing my entire journey, so people know the before, the middle, the after, the 2 years down the line, how I'm doing. I want people to see every step. And just for people who need help, just reach out. In our connected world, there are so many people that you can talk to, that you can follow, and just see what's going on and know that you're not alone.